Hey, Shalom, Shalom. This is Nahman with the DC camp. The Great Millstone. Back for another video. First and foremost, call hello Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem Makar Kodash. And of course, once again, double honors go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. I'd like to also send salutations out to the fellow Akim that are out there on the highways and byways pushing this truth across the four corners of this earth while we're trying to wake up the remaining, hopefully, elect. Alright? So this little video here, we have to go back because history is very important, unlike some people would have you to believe. Of course, our enemy would like for these things to remain in the past. Alright, but yet they want to bring up everybody else's. And you have to wonder why. Alright, and I'm doing this one in particular because in light of the current political environment, and let's face it, when it comes to our people, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be in an election cycle. Alright, this is how we've been surviving throughout our time here. Alright, just because they let up a little bit doesn't mean anything, and that's something that our people, you know, they like to bury their heads in the sand and pretend like, oh, that's all in the past, you know, since it's over. No, bullshit. And that's exactly what the enemy wants. Alright, so here we have this Jake here is going to explain what happened in the Phoenix Massacre, which happened in South Kakalaki, aka South Carolina, back in 1898. Alright, and like I said at the beginning, this current environment, as far as politics go, you're seeing, I refer you to exhibits A, B, and C here. This is indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie. Alright, and his site, every now and then you know, indisputable, I said indisputable, videos from him. Alright, and this one, worker at veteran-owned bar, hurls N-word. He was an Edomite. Sucker punches black vet. Here you have black student gets hundreds of racist messages. Alright, family flees after school does nothing. Cop strike, drag black woman by locks during traffic stop. Alright, I mean, like, damn. Black vet with Purple Heart arrested over legally owned gun. Alright, there are other here's another one, boozy housing, what is that, HOA, damn it, you know, everything's got to be, shit, let me look it up. I can't believe I forgot what the hell that stands for. Alright, let's see. Homeowners Association. God dang it. Homeowners Association. So what they did, leads Karen squad in attack on teens fishing at pond. You don't belong there. Alright, all these things are happening to our people, and it's not, you know, let's see. And of course there's Jake here. I mean, over parking space, where you really got to be careful out there. You know, lost his life over parking space. All kinds of shit here. And there's this a-hole here, Colin, whatever his name, Noor. You know, one of those gun rights activists. Oh boy. There's another case that happened before I get into this one. Here's a drunk bigot throws racist tantrum. Cops show up. Oh, you just leave, you know, and he's, you know, in case you haven't seen this one. I mean, all this is, and this also would have to do with Project 2025, because what's happening with that is these white so-called Christian males, they're tired. They're losing the grip. They see it. They see this threat to their authority, and that's been circulating around. Here's another one. Man threatens neighbor's black kids with noose. All this is happening, and our people, what are they into? BET Awards, all that ratchet shit. Alright. And all this is, the draft and all this other shit, all this shit that's coming up that's meant to distract you. And they do a very good job, because Jake is just too relaxed, too comfortable. And that's going to turn around and, believe me, it's going to bite you in the ass in a big way. But let's go ahead and listen to this video here, because these things cycle back around. And with the economy the way it is, and this has been a staple here in the U.S. when it comes to our people. When the economy is bad, guess who they come looking for? Here we go.
I'm going to take you back to a time when black people thought they might have a chance at real progress.
Yeah, they still do.
From black people, you superior brutality and savagery. This story is not just a history lesson. It's a way to understand many of the things that we see today. So please, I encourage you to watch this video to the end, because this is black history that everyone should know. This story is about what happened to the black community in Greenwood, South Carolina on election day of 1898. Before I get into this story,
this is also referred to as the Phoenix Massacre, as you see up on top where he is. Alright, so when you see that, don't think of Phoenix, Arizona. Alright, it's talking about South Carolina.
I need to give you some history first. You will need this history to fully understand why this atrocity happened. After the Civil War, Reconstruction brought significant changes to South Carolina. Emancipation and new citizenship rights for African Americans led to a biracial government that included black citizens and local and state government roles throughout the state. In 1868, black delegates made up 2/3 of the participants at a state convention that rewrote the Constitution, expanded voting rights for all South Carolina males. This period saw reforms aimed at aiding the impoverished state, including public education and rebuilding infrastructure, and criminal justice reforms, and land commissions to help small farmers purchase land, including black people. But this progress was short-lived. By 1890, former Confederates regained control of southern states. With legal and governmental machinery in their hands, they implemented Jim Crow laws. This was a regime of mandated white rule and black disenfranchisement. These laws enforced racial segregation and were upheld through legislation and through fraud and violence, affecting every aspect of legal and social life of black people from cradle to grave. The Supreme Court played a crucial role in solidifying Jim Crow rule over black people.
Did you hear that? The Supreme Court. And my question to you out there that keep, y'all need to stop complaining and say, when has this ever stopped? Alright? And that's what, when people talk about reparations, and we here at Great Millstone and others affiliated, we understand that, well, why would you ever trust to get any type of relief from your enemy, your mortal enemy at that? Alright? Because that's just what he is. He's continually trying to kill us. He's trying to get his birthright back. Alright? You have to understand that. This goes in Genesis 25th chapter. Alright? That he sold. It wasn't stolen, like you'll see when this is discussed. Some people will say that no, he sold it. Alright? So, they're trying to get that back. And this is all revenge. Yes, the curses are put upon us by the Most High. Yes. Alright? But it also says that they furthered the affliction, meaning our enemy. Here. The same people. This is the same people we've been dealing with throughout the ages. Alright? Israel's wicked brother, Esau and his descendants. This is what this has all been about. He's never going to let up until he's taken out. And that goes in the 2 Thessalonians 2nd chapter. Alright? He's being allowed, alright, to do what he's doing. But his time is short. He knows it. Alright. And it tells you in Job 14:5, there's a bounds of which he can't pass. Just like any other, when his time is up, is up. Nothing you can do about it. All right, but like I said, these things are come in cycles. All right, and these are very dangerous times. You have to realize that. All right, our people have been, like I said, lulled into a sense of false security with all these things happening around you. All right, our people just, like I said, they're putting their heads in the sand at the wrong time. All right, because these Edomites, these so-called white people that walking up and down the street each and every day, you better believe they understand what's going on because they're affected. See, the thing is with Jake, because, and that's one of the downsides of always living the way we've been forced to live, all right, we don't notice it like they do. All right, because they've always been pointing a finger at us, like them lazy niggers, not realizing, or even if someone do, just don't care. All right, that things were fixed and set up against us. But now they're feeling that pinch, and they don't like it. But see, here's the thing. They're in rulership, so they can do things that we can't. In other words, they can affect our lives more than we can affect theirs. And get away with it. Alright. Back to the video.
Our cases like the 1896 case of Plessy versus Ferguson legitimized the doctrine of separate but equal, allowing states to maintain segregated facilities. And in 1898, in a case called Williams versus Mississippi, it upheld the discriminatory voting laws that disenfranchised black voters. These decisions helped bring about a...
See, this is what we're talking about. And there's another channel I listen to from time to time. It's these Jake lawyers, and they did a video where they told you that these think tanks, these Republicans, but it doesn't matter whether it's Republican or Democrat. That's what we're trying to tell you. Both of them team up, come against us. Where this illusion, all right, that's been cast and the wool has been pulled over Jake's eyes, you know. There are, I don't want to put a number or percentage on it, but not enough of our people are waking up. But that's the thing, it's about quality, not quantity. You have to understand that. But they see like, damn, between the church, all these things that were set up to keep you blinded, to keep us blinded. And then they start to come out of that and they're like, fuck. And they were like, what kind of fool was I? And there's going to be more of that, you know, up until, you know, the 11th hour. All right. But the majority of Jake, gone. You know, they love America. They just trust in that it will recover. All right. Like, damn. So expect to catch more flack from your own people, just like Yahweh Shai. What's the scripture say? The servant is not greater than his master, right? What did he suffer and go through? Hey, the same. It's going to happen to us. All right. So you got to expect that. You got to know what you're involved in. All right. So back to the video.
A rise of politicians that were determined to keep black people down. Benjamin Pitchfork Tillman was a prosperous landowner from Edgefield County, South Carolina. He emerged as a political force in the 1880s. Despite his wealth, Tillman portrayed himself as a champion of the poor white farmers, rallying against the political elites whom he accused of exploiting these farmers. Tillman's rhetoric was inflammatory, and he attacked bankers and merchants and politicians whom he claimed were ruining the lives of good, hard-working white farmers. Tillman's rise to power was marked by his keen understanding of white people's fears and their frustrations. In 1890, he was like the governor of South Carolina, and his influence only grew from there. By 1895, he led a state constitutional convention with the explicit purpose of ensuring white rule. The new constitution introduced literacy tests and poll taxes and other mechanisms designed to...
And that's why the 15th Amendment came about.
Was an implementation of the Mississippi Plan in South Carolina. Originated in Mississippi, the plan was designed to circumvent the 15th Amendment. which guaranteed black men the right to vote. It included measures such as literacy tests and poll taxes, which were administered in a discriminatory manner to ensure that black citizens were effectively barred from voting in the state. Tillman openly advocated for these measures, arguing that allowing black people to vote was an existential threat to white rule in South Carolina. By implementing the Mississippi Plan, Tillman sought to create a political system where white rule could be maintained without the threat of black influence. And the Supreme Court rulings that I mentioned earlier, they provided legal cover for this disenfranchisement. Tactics such as literacy.
Did you hear that? The Supreme Court's rulings provided cover for these motherfuckers. They all work hand in hand. Alright? These three branches of government. You got the legislative, judicial, alright, judiciary, and then you have the executive. Alright? They all man.
Tests and poll taxes and the grandfather clause appeared to be race neutral, but were really designed to disenfranchise black people. These measures were upheld by the Supreme Court, effectively nullifying the protections of the 15th Amendment. Tillman's advocacy for white rule was not limited to legislative.
So that's why I've said, and others also, all those amendments weren't worth the paper that they were written on, because unless you can enforce that or are willing to enforce that, what fucking good is it? And they've got our people all depending on that shit. Our people fail to realize, like this past holiday that just, 4th of July. When I see Jake celebrating that, But again, what can you do? You fail to realize what position our people were in when all this shit was, thought of and implemented and written and, how can you, wow. That's some heavy witchcraft there. It really is. That's some heavy witchcraft there.
He openly encouraged the use of violence to maintain social order. He supported lynchings and the actions of the red shirt militias. These were paramilitary groups that used terror and intimidation to suppress black political activity. The violence on Election Day in 1898 in Greenwood County is a direct example.
Now you see, for all you people that come over here, you motherfucking immigrants, and start talking this shit, I don't care who you are, I don't care if it's Northern Kingdom, whatever. Alright, because I'm saying that because lately we had this idiot in Missouri whose people came from Columbia, I believe it was, and she's running for, some office, some statewide office, and she's just, the shit coming out of her mouth, you swear you're hearing it from a white redneck Christian male. It's like, fuck. But then you got to remember, most of those countries down in Central and South America too, you got to realize too that, and this for you dumbasses that want to leave the Northern Kingdoms out, you got to consider, well, what they went through and who was putting foot in their ass, and all that teaching the hatred that, the darker skin you are, that color hierarchy, is big down there. And of course, the darker you are, more on the bottom you are. Alright, so they bring those attitudes up here when they come. Alright, but who's behind all this? The same people. Alright, our arch enemy, the Edomites, so-called white people. Alright, but then they come here talking this shit. Well, why should we pay reparations? First of all, it's none of your fucking concern. You're not, stay out of even the discussion. You see, this wicked ass so-called white man, he's an expert in getting people, to jump on board with him and coming against us. And we, being so naive, always want to wear a cape for everybody else. And you have our people in the so-called Congressional Black Caucus You never hear them defending us for anything. When do they even, when do you ever hear about them? In fact, if I'm not mistaken, even in the charter, they're about helping, now you can say this safely, helping everybody else but us. But you look at all these other groups' charters, they're about them and them only. So fucking sad. But I think when I think about that, I think about scriptures like Zechariah 11 and 5. In fact, let's get that real quick. Because I just mentioned some scriptures in passing and didn't go to them, but let's see. Zechariah 11 and 5. Let's go on down here. It says, whose possessors slay them. And that's happening all over. There's another Jake who, his relatives, thinking they were being chased by gang members, rolled up in the backyard. Was it his sister that ran out the car and ran in the back of the house, talking about they were being chased, and he came out with his gun in his hand, didn't point it at anybody, just to see what the fuck was going on, in defense of his family member or members at that time, because the rest of them got out of the car. And these people never identified themselves. As soon as they saw him with the gun, they lit him up, killed him. You know, shit like that. And you don't see the NRA coming out on his behalf. This was Florida, by the way, so you got that castle doctrine. But of course, none of this applies to our people. How about that? How about that? And that's why I mentioned that Colin, this asshole earlier when he saw me scrolling down. Hold on. When you saw me, what was it? Let's see. I'm trying to remember which one it was now. Hold on. He's a big, you know, NRA advocate with his, man, Jake just, it says, whose possessors slay them, Salaki, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. They don't. They know. You know? And they that sell them say, blessed be the Most High, for I am rich. And their own shepherds, these people that are supposed to represent us, you know, our so-called leaders that are really selected for us, because you have to understand, anybody that's actually been for us, supposedly, all right, you had one that bit the hand that fed them, that was MLK, and then you had people at grassroots level, all right, they either get killed or they sell out, and their own shepherds pity them not. You know, everybody wants to get in on, you know, they join these wicked ass, either they're Masons or some other shit. It's sad. It really is. But we're coming to the end of this now. So, you know, fuck them. That's what I say. But, yeah, let's go back to the video.
How Tillman's policies and rhetoric translated into brutal action. The conflict began when angry white men attacked a prominent white Republican named...
Oh, I know what I was going to say, Salaki. See, this is the thing, because they never took, what these immigrants never consider, they always come over here, well, we've been over here only 1 or 2 generations, and look at us. Well, they didn't treat you like they did us. They did not what's the word, I'm afraid I want to use. They did not, I always say, it's this little book I bought at the end of 2022, beginning of 2023. It's called How Did White People Get Rich? Excellent read, because they tell you about all the programs, all the help that other people got. We were excluded, and excluded on purpose. They didn't do that with you. Alright? That's the simple answer. A lot of these people, they come over here and they identify with the dominant society. Alright? Until they get their wake-up calls. in which case they usually run back to us, and our people, being simple as they are, alright, remember I was talking about wearing those capes for everybody else but ourselves? Yeah. You know, and they use us as a springboard, and next thing you know, they, you know, get the hell away from us. But that's what we get, you know. And that's why a lot of videos I've seen lately, that's what people, our people are finally saying, fuck everybody else. And you're like, really? All this time and now you're coming to that conclusion? But even more so when it comes to the scriptures. You know, we go to Ezra's 4th chapter, well, Ezra's of the whole book, but when you go to Nehemiah, you talk about, you know, at the times where even what we were doing, now people want to get with us. Oh, you want to build with us? No, you can't build with us. Nope. Nope. Now they got a problem. But nobody wants us around them. Wow. Next video.
Pete Tolbert, who was collecting affidavits from black voters who were denied the right to vote that day. The Tolberts were a prominent Republican family led by patriarch John R. Tolbert, a Confederate veteran who had turned his allegiance to the Republican Party. John and his sons were committed to helping black people move into full citizenship. The Tolberts were a wealthy family and owned a lot of land. They would rent their farmland to black people and encourage black voters to stand up against the oppressive Democratic regime that was trying to keep black people disenfranchised. The Tolberts' land in Phoenix had become a sanctuary and a safe haven for black farmers, and this angered a lot of people in Greenwood County. And this brings us to what happened on Election Day in 1898. On November 8, 1898, people gathered at Watson and Lake's General Store in Phoenix, Greenwood County. Polling boxes were set up in the store. These farmers, some of whom were Klan members, watched closely to see how their neighbors voted and who they voted for. Outside of the store, a group of black farmers gathered. Tom Tolbert had set up a wooden box to collect affidavits from black people who had been denied the right to vote under the state's new restrictive laws. These affidavits stated that the signer had attempted to vote and had been denied. That day, 20 black men had been turned down from voting. After being denied, the black men would then come outside, get the affidavit and sign it and put it in the box. A white man named J.I. Etheridge saw this and approached Tolbert. Etheridge accused Tolbert of deceiving black voters into thinking that they can vote when they could not. He kicked the box over and ordered Tolbert to leave. When Tolbert refused, Etheridge and another white man named Robert Cheatham began beating Tolbert. A black man named Joe Circus saw this and came to Tolbert's aid. An all-out brawl ensued, and the four men crashed through the store's porch railing. It's unclear exactly what happened next, but a lot of people, including Joe Circus and Cheatham, pulled weapons and started firing. Etheridge was struck in the middle of his forehead and died instantly. The local newspaper blamed Joe Circus for what happened that day at the store. This violent encounter was just the beginning of this violence. News of what happened spread quickly. The next morning, hundreds of white men, many of them members of the Klan, headed to Rehoboth Church, where black people were gathered and discussing what had happened the day before at the store. Late in the afternoon, 300 white men held 8 black people against their will with weapons drawn on them at the church. The black people tried to remain calm, but when someone began talking loudly and yelling and using profanity, a black man was yanked from his seat, and then the mob fired over 100 rounds into his body. When 4 black people tried to run to safety into the swamp, the white mob grew angry and then turned on the 3 black men who did not run, and they fired over 200 rounds into their bodies before they could even move from their seats. The mob ended up catching the 4 black men who ran.
Wait a minute, isn't that hate? And after all of this, what about that hate crime bill? Seems like everybody else get it, they give it to the gays. Oh my goodness.
Tied them up and then they brutally executed them right there in the churchyard. They fired volley after volley of rounds into their lifeless bodies. They did this to warn the other black people about the consequences of voting. The black men's names were Wade Hampton McKinney and Jesse Williams, Columbus Jackson, and Drayton Watts. The massacre at the church did not end there. The mob was thirsty for more brutality. Mobs of white men roamed the countryside, capturing and executing black people. They would then leave their bodies displayed for everyone to see as a warning. They also wanted to take out the Tolbert family for helping the black people. The Tolberts were forced to flee Greenwood and went into hiding. Some of the Tolberts made their way to Washington, D.C., where they met with President William McKinley and begged him to intervene to protect the election and black voters in Greenwood. President McKinley did nothing. Thousands of acres of the Tolberts' land was seized, all because they dared to help black people. What happened in Phoenix left a deep scar on the black community.
again, why isn't this is history? Why isn't this tough? See, that's why it's beautiful what's happening now. Alright, people have been peeled behind that curtain. They're seeing these pieces of shit for what they really are. The hypocrisy. And you just heard there about William McKinley. Well, you know what happened to him next. It was in 1901. So good for his ass.
This act of racial terror caused many to leave Greenwood County in large numbers. Benjamin E. Mays, the future leader of Morehouse College, the civil rights leader, was a young child in Greenwood at the time. He remembered the mobs and the fear in black people. Mays said that he witnessed the terror firsthand. He saw his father humiliated by the armed white man. He said that this incident shaped his understanding of the world for black people. It helped to fuel his lifelong commitment to fighting for civil rights. The Phoenix riot was not just about voting. It was about black people being seen as a threat to the white power structure and white rule. This story should serve as a reminder of the importance of...
And nothing has changed. Nothing. Again, our people have gotten way too comfortable in this wicked ass system that we're in, this pit.
Voting. Entire black communities lost their lives for the right to vote. And as bad as this story was, it was actually used as a justification for another atrocity just 2 days later. The events in Greenwood County were not isolated. They were part of a larger pattern of violence and oppression. In our next video, we'll delve into another massacre that happened just 2 days after the Phoenix Massacre and is one of the most devastating acts of racial violence in American history. But for now, I want to know your thoughts about this video. Had you ever heard of what happened in Phoenix?
I think he's talking about Wilmington in North Carolina, but like I said, I think because that was around the same time. I'm just trying to put two and two together. But in any case, yeah, black people are about to get a huge wake-up call. All right, because these Edomites, these so-called white people, like I say, now they're facing a hard time. Now it's getting to them. Now you're seeing all these videos where they're crying, "Come on, people, we need to stick together." When have we ever been together? So now you want to, oh, okay. Nah. Nope. Fuck you. That's what I say. Alright, so, hey, this is why, even more than ever, alright, if you're wise, alright, that's what we're here for, to seek wisdom. Alright, now more than ever, you want to be circumspect, meaning you want to have your head on a swivel. You be careful where you're at, who you are amongst. Alright, because you're seeing a lot of these cowards that they are. They seem like they're attracted to large groups of us. Alright, and then they'll start shooting, you know, or some other incidents may pop up, false flags, because now is that time, because they really, I mean, it's like it's one hell of a choice. You know, you got this guy that many are still blaming Jake for putting, you know, in the presidency, in the Oval Office now. Alright, and then you got this other guy that was before him that's bent on revenge. Alright, I mentioned that, Project 2025.
Phoenix in 1898, and how,
you know, is he gets back in. Alright, they just made it also, I meant to do a video on that, they just made it also basically illegal out west to be homeless. Alright. Yeah, so all this is shaping up to, we're going into this 1984 shit. Alright. No joke. This is why you're going to have a lot of Jake out there, because they think everything's a joke. Alright, they're going to fucking, oh man, it's going to be funny to me, but You know, so hey, I don't want to take too much time with this. That's the point. Point's been made. So hey, as I usually say, I hope everyone that views this is edified. That's what we do here at Great Millstone, and remind you about prayer and fasting. All right. So with that, until the next video, hey, shalom, shalom.